Now let's start a poem, okay? From class 3 book, POSY. Lesson 1, name of the poem, Morning Prayer. This is the name of the poem, okay? Odgen Nash, written by Odgen Nash. Let's read out the poem first. Now another day is breaking. Sleep was sweet and so is waking. Dear Lord, I promised you last night never again to sulk or fight. Such vows are easier to keep when a child is sound asleep. Today, O Lord, for your dear sake, I will try to keep them when awake. Now, Odgen Nash is talking about a child's prayer. A child's prayer, when a child gets up early in the morning, he suddenly remembers that night he has promised something to God. But what happens? A child's mind is just like a child, very playful. He says something and he forgets also. We will see another day is breaking. So the child is saying, Lord, another day has come. Yeah, I am making the promises again and again. Every day I am making a promise and I am not keeping my promises. I am not fulfilling the promises that I am keeping actually. So that particular day, the poet is saying through the child, the poet Odgen Nash is saying through the child that another day is breaking. One more day has come, Lord. One more day is there. Sun is shining, the birds are chirping. Another day is there. Sleep was sweet. The night has gone, okay? The sleep was very sweet, very relaxing, very peaceful. And so is waking. Like the sleep was very relaxing and peaceful, like that, Lord, when I'm waking up early in the morning with the sunshine, this is also very good and very pleasant. Dear Lord, I promised you last night. I promised you last night never again to sulk or fight. Okay? So what the poet is saying, Lord, I have promised. What I have promised? I have promised that last night, what I have promised that I am not going to sulk or fight. I'm not going to sulk. I will not feel bad again. Never I will feel bad and I will not fight about it. Sometimes what happens, dear children, I'm telling you, that we feel very bad inside our heart. Some of the statements, some of the matters, some of the lines, some of the expressions we do not like. And we feel very much bad about it. And that feeling gives us the anger. And because of this we fight. We fight with ourselves. We fight with our friends. We fight with our near and dear ones. The poet is saying, Lord, I have promised you last night. What I have promised you last night? That now I will never again. Okay? I am going to feel bad about it. Or I am going to fight about it. Such vows are easier to keep. The child is a child. The poet is saying the child is a child. So the poet is saying such vows, such promises. Vows, promises. Such promises are very easy to keep. You say it. What's there? Is there anything new? Or is there anything very strong? Is there anything that if I have said I have to do it? So the poet is saying, see, I am saying, Lord, but I am not doing it. What he's saying? Such vows are easier to keep when a child is sound asleep. In our dream, in our sleep, we say many things. And we promise also. But what happens when early in the morning we wake up? We simply erase everything. what we have said. We are never keeping our promises. Today, O Lord, so he sits that another day, he sits on that day, he is joining his hand and he is making a new vow, making a new promise. For your dear sake, Lord, I love you. For your dear sake, Lord, I love you. Lord, you are my father. Lord, you are my mother. I love you. So because I love you, dear Lord, today I am promising, okay? What I am promising today? That I will try to keep them when awake. What I will do? I will not only promise the things at night when I am sound asleep like a child. I will try to keep all those promises when I am awake also. So in this poem, Morning Prayer, Odgen Nash, the poet, is talking about a child's, prayer that he is saying every day when he is sleeping. That tomorrow, Lord, I'm going to do this, do that, do this, do that. But what happens? At the end of the day, he is not doing that. He is saying that I have said that I will not feel bad. I will not fight. But yet, I am fighting again. So, today I am going to make a promise. What is this new promise? This new promise is that whatever promises I have made, I am going to keep it. So dear children, I hope you have understood the poem well enough to write down the explanations. It is in two lines. Total 8 lines are there. You will see the first line. You will see the first line, there is a comma, and then the second line has a full stop. The poet has written. Now let's see the questions. I have written the questions here. I will read one questions and we will discuss the answers. What was breaking? Odgen Nash has written in the first line only. What was breaking? Another day was breaking. So the answer of this particular question, what was breaking? Another day was breaking. I'm saying again, what was breaking? Another day was breaking. Let's go to the next question. Whom did the poet make a promise last night? Whom? W-H-O-M? Whom? Whom did the poet make a promise last night? The poet. Now how to make answers from the question? We will start from here. The poet. The T capital. Okay? The poet make. Make will be in another tense. Make is present tense. We will change the tense. So it will be the poet made. M-A-D-E. The poet made a promise to God. What we will add here? The poet made a promise to God last night. What would the poet never do again? See, many of the students are not able to find out the answers, They just try to learn or memorize the answers. Your few words of your answers are actually in the question only. Let's see the question C. What would the poet never do again? So we will take the answer from here. The poet, and then we will fix the verb here. The poet would. See how we are making the answer. The poet would never. Okay? And then sulk or fight again. We will do not write. I'm saying the answer again. From the question only we will make. The poet, we will start the sentence from here. The poet would never sulk or fight again. D. When are vows easier to keep? When. The question talks about the time. Okay? When are vows easier to keep? So again from the question we will start the answer. Vows. Vows, and then we fix the verb. Okay. Vows are. Vows are. This is a helping verb, auxiliary verb. Okay. So verbs are. Vows are easier. Vows are easier to keep at sleep, or when we are sleeping at night. So we can say it like this also. If you want a very another answer or a long answer, then we can say like this. Vows are easier to keep when a child is fall asleep. You can say it like this also. When a child is fall asleep. Number E. What would the poet try to keep when awake? What he will try? What he will try when he is awake again? So the answer starts from here again. The poet would try to keep the promises. What he will try to keep? The poet would try to keep, and then you have to write the promises when awake. F number. When and for. Two questions you have to answer here. When and for whose sake would the poet keep his promise? When. He will keep the promise when. So this is about time, and this is for the person whom he wants to keep the promise. So when and how. So in the morning, okay, in the morning the poet, okay, would keep, the poet would keep the promise, keep his promise for the dear sake, means for the God's sake. Okay, he will keep the promises for God, whatever promise he has made. So sometimes in the question only, many of the words of our answers are there. So dear children, what I am trying to say, that you look at the question properly, read the question properly, again and again you read, try to take the meaning from the question, and then you frame the answer. While framing the answer, you have to go to the question again and you take the words from the question only. I have tried to explain the chapter, okay, lesson 1, morning prayer, and I hope that you have understood it well again. So thank you, students.